is working or not. I'm trying. So. Let's see if I can. I don't know if anybody is still around or not, but I'm gonna try to go live. Let's see how this works. Okay. See if I can get my comments open, my video open so that I can see comments. I'm gonna put you guys in the holder. I was all set up and then I had to take it out, and I thought, well, I'll try one more time and see how it goes. So, sorry. Okay, let's see. That's about where I want you. Okay. Hi. Let me see again if I can get these comments where I can see them. How is everybody? So sorry I'm a little late. Facebook was not very cooperative, but hopefully we won't have any more issues, and hopefully everybody can find the replay and everything. I'm just gonna get some clay out here, and I have not even weighed out or wedged my clay because it has been Thunderdome here with all the kids home. And they're so off their schedule and they don't know what's going on and they don't know why we can't go anywhere, so I'm sure you all are going through the same thing. And normally I'd kind of wedge this clay before and have my balls ready and everything to go, but it's been a crazy day. So, and then the last 2 hours have been spent trying to just find out if we could even go live. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about with you, can you all see this? If not, maybe swipe your comments to the side. Hi, everybody. I see a lot of people saying hi to me still. I wanted to talk. The cat is in the way. Hello, Nori. This is Nori Kitty. She might get up there again. My cat's not used to me being in the living room because I'm not usually here filming. But, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was when you're collaring in. A lot of people have trouble, and this is something that I struggled with, so it was something that I really wanted to share with you, for those of you who may be struggling with collaring in. When you're collaring in, a lot of people have trouble with getting a twist when you're collaring in, and there's some ways that you can avoid this. One of the best ways that I have found is to make sure that you are supporting the inside. And so on this clear container, you can kind of see that I have my hand. It would help if it wasn't somebody. Maybe I can kind of clear it off. But I've been using it as my throwing bucket. So I want to put my middle finger on the inside of my pot. This is my left hand. In case somebody's wondering if I didn't, switch it or anything, this is my left hand. I'm going to put my middle left finger on the inside of the pot to support it. I want to support that that inner wall as I'm collaring in, so that it doesn't twist. That's going to keep it straight as the clay is moving in. And on the outside, I'm going to have my right hand in a claw shape around the pot, around wherever I want to color it in. So as I have my left middle finger on the inside and my right hand in a claw shape on the outside, I'll put my pointer finger on the rim to keep that stable and level. That's the other thing, is that when you get the twist, you're also getting an uneven rim. So I want to keep my rim stable and straight. I want to keep my wall supported. I want to push in with my claw, and then my thumb is going to go on my hand. And that's, as Becca said earlier, triangle. Get on that game, y'all. So I'm going to make sure that I'm supporting my hand, I'm supporting my wall, I'm supporting the outside and pushing that in. And that's going to get me the straight colored in wall that I want. Does that make sense to everybody? Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'll try to watch. And you can go ahead and get started. So, this was not how I wanted to start. Things happened a little crazy today. The last 2 hours have been a lot of text between me and Stacy Morgan and some of the other admins trying to figure out what's going on and why nobody can go live. So y'all, thanks Stacy. She did an awesome job putting all this together. She's still doing an awesome job keeping it all running, and I don't know what we'd do without her. She's just been amazing. But this week has been hard for a lot of us, and we needed this. I know I've been enjoying the lives, and I've been watching a lot of them. I've not been feeling real well. I'm hoping I'm not getting sick. I don't know if it's allergies or the virus, or it could be anything. But I'm trying not to get sick, but I'm not feeling well, so I've been resting a lot in between herding cats, herding kids, and trying to watch Clay Buddies. So hopefully you all are doing well. I don't know how much clay I have here. I didn't measure it, but I think it's about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. And this is New Mexico Anasazi Cone 10 clay. It's what I had handy. It's what was easy to find. I had been throwing with it at the school lab because we have a Cone 10 kiln there, and I was really looking forward to firing in that Cone 10 kiln, but I didn't get a chance to do that. So I'm going to assume that you guys know how to center and pull your walls and all that. If not, go watch Becca's live. She was awesome this afternoon. So I'm just going to talk to you about coloring in and making your closed form and how to go from there. Once you can make a closed form, you can do all kinds of sorts of things with it. You can do sculptural work where you make animals or figures or whatever. You can, I'm just going to slow my wheel down a little bit. Getting tongue twisted there. You can do all sorts of things once you can do a closed form. So, you can do a teapot. You can do lidded jars. You can do all sorts of things. So it's very important to be able to learn that skill. And one of the things that you have to do before you can do a closed form is you have to make sure that you have addressed your bottom of your form, and that you have addressed everything that you want to do on the inside, as far as like getting water out and compressing, making everything smooth and pretty, all that, because once you close it, obviously you're not going to be able to open it back up to do all that. So you want to get that done before you start to close your walls. But you also want to make sure that when you start coloring in, you have wet hands, because friction is also going to cause that twisting. And you want to make sure that you're keeping plenty of slip and water on your hands, and plenty of slip and water on the outside of your pot, and just on the inside rim where you're supporting your wall. So I'm going to start coloring in, and it also helps to slow down. You need to make sure that you're slowing your wheel down as you're moving in. And then another thing that I completely forgot, because I completely started off top. See how that's gotten all wonky because I wasn't supporting the rim like I told you guys to. I didn't have my triangle gang on. So I'm just going to straighten that up. One of the things that you need to do if you're going to make a knob, you need to leave some clay at the top. And I didn't do that because I was distracted and just a little nervous and shaky from all the chaos of not being able to go live and then trying to go live anyway. But hopefully you guys can understand what I'm trying to tell you here. So I would you know what, this is really getting twisted and thin, and I don't have a needle tool. Okay. We'll try that again. I'm going to just make a little bit smaller one. So so I'm putting my middle finger on the inside, my pointer finger on the top, my claw on the outside, and my thumb resting on my hand. And as I'm pushing in, I'm supporting that wall. And it's coloring in, and this clay is very wet now, so I'm going to it started flopping on me. Okay, let's try again. I'm going to slow the wheel down a little bit. I'm still keeping my rim supported. Still keeping my finger on the top. As I'm closing, I'm closing the neck, but I'm still leaving a little bit here at the top. That's going to become my knob. So again, I'm going to close it just at the top, and I'm trapping air in there. And at this point, my finger can't fit in there anymore. So, but it's tiny enough that I'm not really worried about that. So I'm just going to close it up. And now it's completely closed. I've got air trapped in here. This is not a very big lidded jar because I had to cut some of it off. And I'll probably start over, do another one in a minute, and hopefully that'll be better. Now this knob, is not completely closed here. This neck is still open, so I can just squeeze here and close that off. And then see how that knob just got a little wonky? To avoid that, I'm going to make sure that I lift straight off the top. It's a follow through. If you've ever bowled or thrown a ball you know that you follow through with the ball. This is kind of the same thing when you're throwing and you're having a lot of trouble keeping it straight, especially like something like this that's a knob or a finial or something like that you want to keep straight at the top. You have to follow through. If you don't, you're going to knock it off base, off balance, off the center. So this knob I can shape however I want to now. It's got trapped air in it. I can do a point. I can make a flat knob just by pushing down. And sometimes it helps if you like run your thumb from the outside in, because then you're pushing that clay to fill in the little hole in the center that might form as you're pushing that clay down. And then it helps too to kind of choke that in here. And I use 4 fingers at that point. I'm doing a pincher, like four fingers together to push that in at the neck of what's going to be my knob. Now, as you notice, my my form here is probably not the prettiest shape that I want. It's now trapped air. I can shape this however I want, and that might make my knob go off center. I'm just going to follow through to clean that back up again. And that's a really big knob for this small container. I probably would not keep that, but I just wanted to show you guys, and I'm kind of trying to exaggerate with this knob where I started with not very much clay. I can shape this knob however I want. I can make it like a little ball. As you saw that I could do it a point, I can make a knob that goes like this. So you can play around with your knob shape however you want to do it. I'm taking that off. So I would make this a smaller knob for this size jar. Something more reasonable. I just took some clay off there with my fingers. And I can clean that up later. But now let's address the body. Because this is a closed form and it's got trapped air, I can do whatever I want here with it here. I can shape it as a ball. I could shape it more as a straight jar with a rounded domed lid. So however you want to shape that, you can do that after you get it all closed. And that helps too with it if you're going to use it for sculpture or something. You can shape it in the shape of a head or a face or an animal body, or say you want to make a duck or something like that. You could do that. And you don't even have to shape it on the wheel at that point. You could wait till it sets up a little bit and then paddle it to shape it. Mary said she likes how it's forming the knob for the top. Yeah, I like that too. It makes it a lot easier. You go ahead and you have your knob on there. So now we have our jar and it's all in one piece, but how are we going to get the lid separate? And normally I would use a screwdriver for this, and I'm not sure where I left my screwdriver. But you can use any kind of pointed stick or flat stick. I have my Garrity tools, and I think it's the T1. It's my favorite tool. That's awesome. And I just want to get it wet. I want to decide where I'm going to make my my cut eventually, where I want my gallery to be. And by doing this, I'm going to make my flange and my gallery all in one. So I want to decide where that's going to be. You don't want it to be unless you're going to make a teapot, you really probably don't want it to be too small. And you don't want it to be in this curve. You want it to be either above this curve or below this curve. In the curve is kind of hard, especially if you're kind of a beginner. And I don't have a lot of experience with throwing. I'll be perfectly honest with you on that. I've only been throwing for about 3 years, and a good year of that was spent relearning how to walk. So I was not able to throw for most of last year because I was recovering from ankle surgery, and I wasn't able to walk. So I have not a lot of experience with throwing, but I'm learning, and this is something that I learned and I wanted to share it with you. So when you go to make your flange, you're going to start with the corner, and I usually like to use a big flat screwdriver. And I took my Dremel and kind of softened the edges of that screwdriver up so that it's not as sharp. But a pointed stick also works, and I've even used like popsicle sticks. That works really well. And I may actually switch. You know what? This will work too. This is a throwing stick from I think from Kentucky Mudworks, and I'm going to use this big flat end right here. So I'm going to start with the corner of it where I want my flange to be, and I'm going to slow my wheel way down. And I'm just going to start with the corner and push in. And I'm not pushing hard, but as you can see, I'm pushing hard enough for the clay to move. And this makes my gallery my flange. Now after I've done that, I'm just going to leave it like that until it's good and dry. When it's leather hard for, after a couple of days, then I'll cut it. And I'll probably have to do a separate video for you guys on cutting it and trimming it, because I was not able to get stuff done ahead of time. It's been a crazy week. So I'm going to clean this all up with my finishing sponge. This is my Tools finishing sponge. I have one that's dedicated to red clay for obvious reasons, because it's now orange even though it's a white sponge. So I want to clean that all up, and then I'm going to address my bottom. And I've left a lot of clay down here. It was just kind of a crazy start with all the issues with the video, and I usually leave a good skirt down at the bottom anyway, especially my larger pieces, just to support it. But I can go back and cut that off. And then when I trim that, I will trim this more as a round base because it's round inside. And I'll put a foot on it. But I can take all that clay off the bottom. And I don't have any problems with wedging up my clay and reusing it. So, and then I'm used to using Masonite bats now. And I couldn't find my bats because I just scrambled to bring all my stuff home from the school lab yesterday, I believe. I think it was yesterday. All my days are running together in Thunderdome. So, I scrambled to bring all my stuff home from the school lab and don't remember where I put my Masonite bats. So, I do have I think it's the Studio Pro system. I'm loving that. I just got that in the end of January, right after ClayCon West. On the way home, I stopped at New Mexico Clay, where I got this clay, and treated myself to the Studio Pro system, and I love it. So that's what I've been using. And so when I use that, I don't wire off. But since I'm using this, obviously I'll wire off on the plastic bat. So the best way to wire off that I've found is to get my wire wet, and then run it underneath. And then after I've cut it, I'll wet it again and do that until it starts to wiggle. And then I'll kind of rinse my hands and tail them off until they're really good and dry. And then I have my trusty wear board, and I do a 4-finger pickup. And hopefully it doesn't fall over. And then, so I've got my little jar now, and that'll dry for a couple of days. And if I had my noodle tool, which I don't, I'll find it in here in a minute, I would poke a couple of little holes right at the bottom of that base where I know I'm going to cut. Maybe here and on the other side, so that air can get in there. That just kind of helps get the air inside so that it dries on the inside. But really, as long as this outside is leather hard, you can cut it, and then after that you can open it up to dry a little more before you trim. So, does anybody have any questions? See if I can see. Oh. Dory says she uses a wood clothespin to make the indentation. That's cool. Oh yeah, it would make a good honey pot. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys. I have one that I raccooned, and it's actually on my Facebook page and my Instagram somewhere. I don't know, but which that's Happy Turtle Kiln Arts. On Instagram and Facebook. There's not a whole lot on there because, like I said, the last year I've been basically relearning how to walk. I'm still doing PT a couple times a week, but hey Hayden! Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in a long time. How are you, hon? Oh, this is Nora Kitty again. It's sure down. They're not used to my wheel being in here. Uh-oh, she's found the jar. I'm going to try to save this so that I can hopefully trim that for y'all in a day or two sometime. Well, maybe I'll do it Monday. How about Monday? So, I'm going to go really quick and grab my needle tool and hopefully find my screwdriver, and then I'll get a bigger piece of clay and show y'all another jar before I end. Sorry about that. Success! I found my screwdriver and my needle tools. So we're good to go. Aw, thank you, Mary. Yeah, she's my baby. She was my Mother's Day present last year. And she kind of got me through my surgery and recovery and all that. One more second. I'm going to grab my wedging board because that was something I meant to bring over here too. And I want to show you guys because it's really cool. So this is my wedging board, and it's from Zine Tools, and I actually ordered it on BigCeramicStore.com, I think, the one that George is manager. So yeah, it's really awesome. I love it because, especially not being able to get into the school lab right now and not having a studio space, I'm kind of moving around. So this is really awesome. So if you're like me and you usually work at your kitchen table or in your yard or whatever, in your driveway, get you one of these. They're awesome. It's a good way to wedge. So I'm just going to kind of wet this down a little bit because it's got some dry white clay on it, and I didn't clean it. But I'm going to wedge this piece up here. And it's nice because it's heavy enough that it doesn't move around a whole lot. I can put it on top of my wheel and kind of wedge. I say that and it's shifting on me. Hi, Cheryl. Oh, thanks, Deb. Yeah, these are my favorite pants. They're really comfortable, soft. I love to wear leggings because I call them my work pajamas. They're comfortable. They're easy to wear. You know, I don't care what anybody says. Leggings are pants, y'all. So I would wedge that a little more if I wasn't on camera, but let's set that aside for now and get started on another jar. I don't even know how we're doing on time because I don't even know what time I started, but we're just gonna make that work. So I'll do one more for you guys. And when I center, I just go as fast as I can, and then I start to slow down with every pull. Usually, that's the best way that I've found as far as being kind of a new thrower. Really, because total experience, I don't have that much because you know, only have been able to throw when I've had a chance, and not every day. Which hopefully I'll get a studio soon, and that'll change. But I found that I was having a lot of problems with my speed, and I found that I was driving the wheel like I was trying to drive on the interstate. That's what one of my teachers actually told me that. So I learned that if I turn the wheel on high to center, and then turn the wheel a little slower with each pull, I do better. So if you're like me and you have a problem with things kind of falling apart when you're pulling, try slowing your wheel down a little bit with each pull. I am using New Mexico clay. It's the Cone 10 Anasazi. It's what I had handy. I had been throwing with it at school because we have a Cone 10 kiln there, which is why I was taking classes there. And I was taking classes with Ariel Bowman. And if you don't know her, look her up. She is an awesome sculptor, and I really wanted to work on my sculpting skills again now that I'm starting to feel semi-comfortable with my throwing again. I'm really wanting to get back into my sculptural skills because that's my first love. I was really excited about taking classes with her, but hopefully I'll have that chance again sometime next year or something. Anyway, this is Cone 10 Anasazi, and it's beautiful in reduction. It's gorgeous. Deep, rich brown with gold and red highlights. I love it. Allison Cohen is a good friend of mine. She teases me that this clay is the same color as my hair. So we always have a good laugh about that. But feel like I'm not throwing my very best tonight. I'm not feeling really well, and got a little crazy start, but hopefully you guys are getting the gist of the skill that I wanted to focus with you on. Feeling some air bubbles in here. I didn't wedge very well. So I'm addressing my bottom. And I don't have that open very far at the bottom because I want a small bottom and I want to belly out and make it round. See if we can get some of this clay in here. And it really helps me if I make sure that I save some clay at the top for my knob and for the top of my vessel. So I don't go all the way to the top with my pulls. Kitty's back. Hey, Nori. I don't know if she'll come see y'all or not, but hopefully she won't jump on the wheel. I'm also not used to throwing clay with grog, but this is what I've been trying to throw before Alabama Clay Conference. So it's been a while. And then school was shut down when I got back, and so it's been a few weeks since I've thrown. And I was going to try to throw earlier in the week, and I didn't get a chance to do that, so. Again, I'm going to make sure that my floor and my walls on the inside are like I want them to be. They're cleaned up and addressed so that they look nice. Because remember, if this is a lidded jar, I'm going to open that lid. I'm going to see the inside. I want it to look nice in there. So I want to do that before I start to close my jar. And then again, I've got my fingers wet so that I'm not causing friction. I've got my middle finger on the inside supporting that wall. My other two fingers are just kind of hanging out over there. I just try to keep them out of the way. I've got my pointer finger on the top. I've got my claw on the outside. And I'm going to slow my wheel down. And sometimes it helps if it's really open wide. I'll just put my other hand, my left hand, on the other side, and I'll do my finger on there, and then I'll kind of claw. I'll kind of do a claw on that hand too. Let's start to neck in, and I'm still trying to keep that rim supported on the inside and the top, and get it started, and then I can support the neck, do my triangle, and push in on the neck with my claw. Maybe I'm going too slow now. It's getting a little crazy. You know what? I'm going to cut that off. Normally have to do that, but as I said, speed is an issue for me, and that may be an issue for you too. So you might want to work on trying to play around with slowing down, or trying to find your medium speed that's right for you, because that's a big issue for some people with throwing, that they're not going the right speed. Oh my goodness, my kitty is laying on my computer and I just realized that I may be commenting a lot of crazy letters on, so we can get her off of there. Nora, get down. Get down. Get off the computer. Okay, sorry about that. Things are wacky right now, yeah. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're staying healthy. I hope you're staying home. I hope you have everything that you need. You know, as an introvert, I would be pretty happy to stay home and work alone in my studio if I had to. But with kids, it's really hard. So they don't understand, especially my little one. So where was I before Kitty interrupted me? I'm doing my claw. I'm supporting the inside. I'm supporting the rim, which is still getting a little bit wonky, but we're just gonna go with it. And I'm pushing in, and now I've gotten to the top here. And I've just kind of pushed that knob. I can actually take that off, sorry. I can still make a new one. Got enough play there. You want to be really careful not to push this down, because you can, if you push down too hard, you can actually push it down inside your main body of your vessel. So I shape that nice and round, and I'm just gonna push down some of this clay down here. I'll cut that off in a little bit. But right now I'm going to take my finishing sponge. I'm going to get some of this slip off the top. I'm really liking the shape of this, nice and round. I like to make a little round I can make this a little teapot. This is a bit small for a teapot. I'd probably make a larger vessel if I was going to make a teapot. But yeah, my kitty's very curious. She's only 9 months old, so she's still a kitten. She still likes to play, very curious, and she is my shadow. So y'all might see her again. But okay, so now I have my screwdriver, and this one it's a bit heavy. You might want a smaller one, but I like the tip of this because it's nice and big. And I actually took my Dremel and smooth this. This is so smooth and soft. There's no sharp points on here because I took my Dremel and just smoothed it all out. I filed it off, so it's nice and smooth. So again, I'm going to take that point, the corner, the bottom corner. I'm going to find my spot where I want my lid. I'm looking at it, and I start pushing in. I'm going to slow my wheel down. Got some play on there. Just get that off. a lot of friction, so I'm gonna. I don't know why this is not working the way it usually does. Okay. Maybe the wooden stick works. I had good success with that. Let's use that. Okay. So. I want to push in so that my flange is going to be where I want it to be on the inside of the body. But I also want to make sure that I'm keeping some clay here for the gallery. So I've got a good finger width. Oops, I shouldn't do that when the wheel is moving. I've got a good finger width here. I can put my finger in there, and it just fits pretty perfectly. So that gives me space for my gallery on the bottom and my flange on the top. So when I cut this, I will, and I'm not going to cut this until it's leather hard. If you cut it when it's soft like this, it's just going to be a mess. You don't want to do that. Wait till it's leather hard, and then you'll cut it. And I'll try to do a video for you guys on cutting it and trimming it. Yes, I'm pushing in the dent, but I'm not. It did take some clay off, and I think I just didn't have enough water. This is a really groggy clay. But it's very sticky. Does that make sense? Some clays are stickier than other clays. This is a sticky clay. So I haven't made these jars with this clay before, and I really should have dug around and found the clay that I'm used to making these jars with. But it kind of started sticking to this, and so it was coming off on the screwdriver, which I hadn't had that problem before. But I think this clay is very sticky. So, but what I want is when I use the wooden tool, it worked really well. This is wet, so it's not sticking, and I'm actually just pushing that clay in. Does that make sense? So I would be pushing the clay in. I'm not taking it off. It shouldn't be. Some of it's going to come off, but I'm not trying to take it off. But when I cut it, I'm going to put my needle tool right here at the bottom, where I'm separating the flange and the gallery. Does that make sense? So that's how I'm going to cut it. And what I'll do is I'll just hold it still in one spot and turn the wheel on until it cuts. And actually I'll probably turn the wheel on and then stick it in that spot and just hold it steady so that it cuts all the way around. And I usually go pretty slow when I'm doing that. I've seen some people do cut those apart with their wire. I'm not that steady, y'all. Can't do it. So I just use the needle tool. That works best for me. And I kind of messed up the rim there, so I was fixing that. So then I'll just trim up some of this clay off the bottom so I don't have as much to trim later. And I'm not a very efficient thrower, so I do have to recycle a lot of clay, but I'll get better. And that's another little jar. So if this was bigger, I could have cut here and made a teapot lid, and then it would just be a round teapot, and then I could add my spout and my handle if it was a bigger bigger vessel, I might have done that. I like to make these little jars for keeping by my bed. I can put my jewelry in them or whatever, or just little candy dishes or something like that. So, and then I usually take my needle tool and just run it around the bottom. That gives me a channel, so that when I first started throwing, I don't know where my wire went. Maybe Kitty has. Oh, there it is. Okay. When I first started throwing, I could not wire off straight for anything until somebody showed me. Somebody in my class, I don't even remember who it was, but somebody showed me to take my needle tool and run it around the bottom and make a channel, and then when I put my wire in here, it goes in that channel, and so it's easier to keep it straight when it goes across. And so then I can just pull forward, and it's easier for me if I start in the back and push forward. And so I'm going to clean that off, and then I'm going to get my wire wet. And when it's wet, it's easy to run it across until it starts to move. And sometimes it didn't move that time, so I'm going to do it again with more water. And now I felt it move, so it'll be easy to pick up. I'm going to make sure my hands are good and dry. Because, you know, if your hands are wet and you try to pick up your clay to move it to a board, and I'm out of boards. There it is. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm just use this bat. So, if it's wet and your hands are wet and you're trying to pick it up, it's really easy to squish it or pull it off around or anything like that. This clay is so sticky. But when your hands are dry, it's easy to pick it up and move it without distorting it or messing it up too bad. I did get a little dent there. That'll come off when I trim. So, you see, I've got my gallery and my flange ready to go. All I have to do is cut those off. And I didn't make my base as big as I wanted it. The base should really be bigger, but I thought I wasn't going to go, and then I did, and so I was actually just starting to clean up and give up and just go to bed for the night. But then the live went through, and so I'm glad that I got to spend this time with y'all, and I hope you learned something. And I would love to see the jars that you guys make. And hopefully I will be able to get a little video done maybe on Monday or maybe Monday night. I might come back at the same time and do a cutting and trimming for y'all. And hopefully then I'll have some bigger jars thrown so after I've kind of calmed down a little. But does anybody have any questions? Aw, thanks you guys. I'm looking over at my computer. I have big print so I can see because I'm having trouble with my eyes. I need to get new contacts, but yeah, Betsy, I'm gonna definitely come back and do a trimming and cutting for y'all, because the cutting is a little tricky and the trimming can be a little tricky. When I trim, I usually put the lids in a chuck, especially if I do I like to do really tall pointed lids. I just think they're really pretty. And so when I have the tall pointed knob on there, I have to put it in a chuck because turning it upside down, it's not going to work. Unless I have a very tall jar, which I like to have. I like to have a short jar with a tall lid. I don't know why, but I really like to make those tall knobs. And so I'll usually put those upside down in a chuck to trim them, because when you're trimming your lid, you're trimming the inside. So I'm not going to do much trimming on the top, probably none. Sometimes I'll trim if I want to shape my knob a certain way, or if I want to clean up around the neck or whatever. I'll trim a little bit there, but I usually don't trim much on the top. Usually what I do is I turn that lid upside down to do the trimming, and what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning up the gallery, and I'm cleaning up the flange on the lid, and I might, if the inside is uneven where I closed it, I might just take my rib and smooth that out on the inside, but I usually don't even have to do that. And then the bottom, I'll just trim that gallery. I'll trim a little bit on the inside to make sure that the lid fits down in there securely without being too tight. And then usually I'll just turn it upside down and trim a foot in the bottom. I like a fancy little jar with a tall lid and a fancy foot and something that looks classy, like a candy jar or something. But you can make all kinds of things. You can make, I saw somebody said a honey pot, somebody said I don't know, other ideas, but there's a lot of things that you can do once you learn how to make this slitted jar. That's okay, Mark. I'm glad you came. Good to see you. So that's all I have for you tonight, but I'll try to come back and do a cutting and trimming for you. And did anybody have any questions before I go? How much clay did I use? I did not weigh my clay. This is probably about 2 pounds. Just guessing. Because I usually cut my clay into 1 pound blocks right out of the bag, and then and so I think I grabbed about 2 blocks. But I don't even have a scale here at home, so I'm just guessing. But it really depends on how much clay you use, depends on what size jar you want to make. This is a small jar. I mean, it's short compared to my hand. So, if I was going to make a large jar, like say about this tall, probably do about 3.5, 4 pounds. Does that help? Okay, well, I am going to say good night. And y'all stay healthy, stay strong, stay sane in this craziness. I'm just playing with clay. And I will hopefully get back to you on Monday night. So I'll see y'all later. Thank you. All right, thanks. Bye.